Hello, business family, and welcome to the Business of Black Business. Question for you. Are you a small business operating in, let's call it, a non-traditional industry? And are you a woman that's building a business in a man-dominated field? Today, we really get to talk to what I believe to be a juggernaut in that space, a business person who took both those two things on and won. My name is Jay Reynolds. I own and operate Wolf Creek Consulting. We are a top-ranked executive staffing firm that places people in finance, accounting, and IT. This is the Business of Black Business. It's a show that's designed to help Black entrepreneurs and would-be Black owners to understand what it takes to start, to grow, and to scale a business. More than anything else, it's really a unique opportunity to gain access to hear from very, very successful business owners, to hear how they did it. I want you to be in the room. We'll also get advice from professionals that support small businesses to be give you an opportunity to get as information as you possibly can. So, okay. Today we have a special guest, a really good a person, a friend of mine, Ann McNeill, a very successful businesswoman and a trailblazer in this space. Ann McNeill is a Riviera Beach native and owner of McNeill Construction and Services. Hello, Ann. It's great to see you again.
So very much for the invitation. It's going to be exciting.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, I got to tell you, you always have a lot to say, right? I am so excited about talking to you because, hey, you are, let's call it, opinionate.
Contrarian.
Yeah, that's your word. But I definitely do want to talk to you about some of the things that are going on and for us to drill down in some of the things that are really affecting us all. So, first of all, really happy to have you as a guest. Why don't you introduce yourself to people? Everybody knows you, but why don't you introduce yourself to people that don't know you? And I really not necessarily concerned so much about your bio, but I really want to know who you are and why.
Well, first of all, I am a blessed person. Let me start with saying that.
Absolutely.
And I help entrepreneurs and small businesses to elevate to the next level, especially in the construction industry. And I do that through 5 different businesses that I own. McNeill Construction, which is the first Black female construction company in the state of Florida operating at the level that we do, focusing on billion-dollar programs. Now, I am a small business, but my focus is on billion-dollar programs in different industries in our state in particular. And then as the owner of McNeill Consulting, where we provide outreach, monitoring, and consulting to our public sector and private sector clients that work on public sector land, key. And then as the owner of Constructively Speaking, where I speak to share really internationally on the subject of personal development. And then as the founder of the National Association of Black Women in Construction, right now we're operating in about 20 different cities across the U.S.
Wow.
And then the founder of the International Mastermind Association based upon the book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And so all of those really speak to personal development, but not just in one area, but in 10 areas of our lives. And that's who I am, but God-given and blessed is first.
Well, I got to tell you, you are a serial entrepreneur, and I probably have met you, 15 years ago, and it's just been amazing to watch your growth over the course of those 15 years. But why don't you take us back? What inspired you to enter the construction industry over 40 years ago, especially as a Black woman, especially in a situation where it's a male-dominated field?
Well, I think it all started for me with reading the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill at 9 p.m. December 31st, 1979.
It's on my desk. It's right behind me.
And I like to share that as I began to read the book began to read me.
Gotcha.
And this was New Year's Eve. And this is where my journey starts in terms of just the realization that everything starts and ends with mindset. So my husband and friends that go out I decided to stay home because I'm really broken. If you can, and any of your listeners can really relate to this, I just cannot do another party knowing that I got all this debt.
Yeah.
And I'm
Oh
just
my
not feeling
God.
it. Well,
Oh
I
my
think
God.
that's where I was. And
That's
that,
the entrepreneur story, man.
uh,
Everybody's partying and we're thinking about how we're gonna make payroll.
exactly. Well, how about how I'm gonna keep my lights on and those kind
Yeah.
of things. And so I decided to begin to read the book. I love to read. And when I got in the first chapter on desire, the author asked me, and this is what I like to challenge everybody who's listening to ask yourself these questions. The first question he asked me, and I made it personal, he said, Ann McNeill, how much money do you want? And I kept reading like we usually do. The second question he asked me was, what are you going to do in return for the money? And the third question was, by what date do you want that money? And then the fourth question, well, those are three questions, but then he gave me, a plan and then the strategy. And all five of my businesses come from that one page, that one book. And I've helped thousands, not hundreds, but thousands of individuals all over the world with those questions as we mastermind the questions in the small business or large business, doesn't matter. But the point is, if we don't know how much money we want, if we don't know what we're going to do to make that money, I call it niche to be richer. If we
Mhm.
don't know about what date you want it by, and you don't have a plan, how do you achieve that? And so that's where my journey starts. And as I move forward to starting my first mastermind group around 1980 and beginning to drill down on those questions, that's when I started looking at the fact that I wasn't making enough money and there was no way I was going to get more money from my job. So then I became open to the opportunities to become a small business, because at the time I was an entrepreneur inside of an organization as a professional. And that's where the journey started for me. Now, the construction, we can talk about that, but the journey started with an awareness that I had to become more to make more.
I got to tell you, that is truly, truly interesting to me. How one thing flipped the switch on the person like yourself that changed the trajectory of who you are, as well as the businesses and how you present yourself in the marketplace and what you do for the community. It's pretty amazing how that epiphany happens, right?
Absolutely.
Um, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the major projects that you're a part of. I mean, you're part of some serious projects. I have been, like Atlanta International Airport, like the Scripps Research Center, like the Marlins parking garage. I mean, some major, major projects. The Miami Science Museum. How did you get involved in that? How did you go about procuring those projects on the construction? And when we get back, I mean, when we come after that, we're going to talk a little bit more about your mastermind thing, because I really want to drill down into that. But tell me a little bit about how you went about procuring some of those projects.
Well, first, let me start with the framework. I have a framework that basically starts with mindset.
Okay.
And what happens very often to many of us, and for many of us, is, and I'll say for myself, just because I am a small business does not mean I have to think small.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Because I am small does not mean I have to think small. And what I began to realize as a small business who happens to be Black, as a small business, I began to do what large businesses do. And that is, I call it niche to be richer. So
Gotcha.
mindset is my
Gotcha.
framework, first one. But what about my skill set, my craft? And then as I began to look at what did I have to offer in the construction industry, I did drywall, I did concrete, I did all of these different trades. But as I looked around and looked at other people who were like me, they focused on one thing. You
Right.
see,
So you decided that you were going to diversify. That meant that is that what you're saying for the most part? But you
no,
know what? Hang on, I'll tell you. Hold that thought. We got to take a quick break and pay the bills a little bit. When we come back, I want to talk about that, and I also the fact that you diversified your business or you became proficient at some things that made you the person that you are. And I also want to talk about personal development and your mastermind groups. But we'll be right back.
History? Yeah, we built that. Pride? We fuel that. And on August 30th, we run that. Two powerhouse HBCUs, Howard Bison, FAMU Rattlers, one legendary showdown under the Miami lights at Hard Rock Stadium. The energy unmatched. The culture undeniable. The vibes straight HBCU. Get your crew. You don't want to miss this. Lock in your seats now at orangeblossomclassic.com.
Miami-Dade is filled with dreams, talent, love. At the Children's Trust, we are dedicated to nurturing the potential of every child and family with hundreds of trust-funded programs. Find a program at thechildrenstrust.org.
Help comes in many forms. As a Miami-Dade County bus operator, you can help your community, help those in need, and even help yourself. Operators have the opportunity to earn more than $50,000 a year plus built-in overtime, earn more than 13 paid holidays and vacation days, and take advantage of the tuition reimbursement program. Plus, qualified new drivers will receive a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Become a driving force in our community. Apply now at miamidade.gov/busdriver.
School's almost back, but first, let's have some fun. It's the Children's Trust Family Expo, packed with music, shows, and back-to-school supplies. Join us August 2nd at the Fuchs Pavilion at Miami-Dade Fairgrounds. We'll even help you get there. It's easy with an Uber voucher, good for up to $15 each way. Free entry, free parking, free family joy. Visit thechildrenstrust.org/Family Expo for details. Let's go to the Family Expo. Uber voucher terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. We're here sitting with Ann McNeill at MCO Construction Services. Now, let's talk a little bit about the diversification that you talked about before the break. Tell us a little bit about what that meant to you and why you thought that was important.
Well, what it meant is that people who were making lots of money in this construction industry, they focused on one thing, not multiple things. One trade, one skill, one craft. And I think for many of us, it becomes a part of the process in finding where's the money.
Yeah, you paint yourself in a box. This is all you can do, right?
Well, I began to learn about industries. So if I'm a painter, let's say, and you are a contractor that work on schools, I'm a painter, I'm at a conference and I'm with two of my other painting friends. And you come up and you say, Jay, you say, hey, Ann, what do you do? I say, I'm a painter. You say, what do you paint? I say, oh, listen, Jay, I paint everything. What do you have? Paint everything. I paint houses, churches, school, whatever you have. That's what I paint. And person two that's sitting next to me, you say, hey, listen, Mary, what do you do? Mary says, I'm a painter. And you say, well, Mary, what do you paint? And Mary says, well, listen, I paint roads, I paint highways, I paint bridges, And then John, who's sitting next to us, you say, hey, John, what do you do? And John said, listen, I'm a painter, but I only paint schools. That's it. I'm known in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. And I've been in the school painting business for 20 years. Now, you are a school builder. Which one of us as painters are you going to choose?
Hey, yeah, it makes it really easy. Yeah.
You're going to choose John. My point is this. So as I began to study to show myself approved in this industry, I began to watch those firms, small and large, focus, niche to be richer in one industry, one trade. And so I began to do that to answer your question about, how did I end up on all of these different projects? Then I began to look at who can I partner with. I never do anything by myself. Everything I do that's major is always partnering.
Interesting.
We call it public-private partnerships. You talk about relationships because that's part of my framework. Is mindset, is skill set, it is the industries that you're in and knowing, where's the money. And so I began to look at years in advance, where the major programs, not projects. Let me make very, very, very clear about this. You see, a program is normally $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
A project may be $100 million.
Right.
I find that it's easier for me as a small firm to be a part of a program that's $1 billion than a project that's $100 million.
Wow, that's very interesting. That's a
So,
really interesting way to look at that. Yeah.
no, but so I focus on all of the major flagship projects in our area. And it takes 3 to 5 years to get on those projects. And that's to go to answer your question. That's how I end up on the majority of the major projects in Dade and Palm Beach County.
Wow, that's actually I don't know, the people that are interested in working with state and local governments, please pay really close attention to this, because that's an interesting way. It's a novel way of looking at this. It's a revolutionary way of looking at this. And for me, it separates it really separates companies that want to build a legacy business versus companies that are working in their business, right? That was actually really, really powerful. Now, you've written a number of very meaningful books, right? One of which, You Must Have a Dream for a Dream to Come True. What was the moment in your life when that message really began to resonate with you?
December 31st, 1979.
Got the book behind me.
It doesn't change. Platforms and these strategies and all these things change. But if your why does not change, my dream was to make $1,000, save $1,000 a year. And my larger vision dream was always to take care of my mom. It was always to take care of my mom. And I couldn't do that in a stressed, broken financial situation. And so I knew that as she aged, life is going to happen. The same thing with all of us. And will I be in a financial position to take care of my mom? And so as I began to grow and realize that
the wise, right?
Yeah, but I had to become the kind of person, going back to the $1,000, which took me 10 years to get out of debt to save that kind of money. But going back to your question about the book, You Must Have a Dream to Have a Dream Come True, I realized as a part of that journey that I also needed to have a dream as a part of my spiritual life, as a part of my family life, my financial, my health, I needed to have a dream in all of those different areas. But I cannot have a dream come true. Like I'm just coming off last month off of a 5.5-month Crystal Serenity World Cruise on a ship, 5.5 months.
A 5-month cruise.
Yes. But again, I had a dream. The dream came true, but the plan and all of the things that it takes between the idea of having that dream and the execution of it, that is where the growth is. And we don't normally want to talk about that part of the dream, is becoming, not just a dreamer, but the becoming of the manifestation of that dream.
Wow. I got to tell you, that's huge. That's huge. So, some people that do dream boards and things like that, how important that is. I mean, to not only be able to set those things up for yourself, but be able to set the things in motion that actually allow it to happen. Now, you play a major role in the National Association of Black Women in Construction, right? Why is that so critical to support and mentor Black women in your industry?
Well, first, let me say, as the founder.
I know. Like 15 years ago, it seems like I met you 15 years ago when I think you probably had, Broward, Dade, Miami, and now it's an international.
Exactly. We're just coming back from LA, starting a chapter there, and same thing that the month before that in Houston. But again, having a dream in this industry of construction, I found that when I came into the industry, that there was no support for people who look like me. Now, whatever that means,
I can't imagine.
There was no support. And so I began to mentor and support other Black women as I saw, just sharing what I've learned so far. And the more I learned, the more I shared. The more I learned, the more I shared. But then also I began to watch those individuals who I began to coach and help elevate. I began to watch them also grow and share. And that's, I tell people, God shared with me the vision. I ran 10 years and he slow walked me down and I began to pull together you know, the ingredients, if you will. Many of us are already involved in civic associations and organizations. And so what I began to do is I began to model the best practices of many of those.
We'll be right back.
History? Yeah, we built that. Pride? We fuel that. And on August 30th, we run that. Two powerhouse HBCUs, Howard Bison, FAMU Rattlers, one legendary showdown under the Miami lights at Hard Rock Stadium. The energy unmatched. The culture undeniable. The vibes straight HBCU. Get your crew. You don't want to miss this. Lock in your seats now at orangeblossomclassic.com.
Miami-Dade is filled with dreams, talent, love. At the Children's Trust, we are dedicated to nurturing the potential of every child and family with hundreds of trust-funded programs. Find a program at thechildrenstrust.org.
Help comes in many forms. As a Miami-Dade County bus operator, you can help your community, help those in need, and even help yourself. Operators have the opportunity to earn more than $50,000 a year plus built-in overtime, earn more than 13 paid holidays and vacation days, and take advantage of the tuition reimbursement program. Plus, qualified new drivers will receive a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Become a driving force in our community. Apply now at miamidade.gov/busdriver.
School's almost back, but first, let's have some fun. It's the Children's Trust Family Expo, packed with music, shows, and back-to-school supplies. Join us August 2nd at the Fuchs Pavilion at Miami-Dade Fairgrounds. We'll even help you get there. It's easy with an Uber voucher, good for up to $15 each way. Free entry, free parking, free family joy. Visit thechildrenstrust.org/Family Expo for details. Let's go to the Family Expo. Uber voucher terms and conditions apply.
And that is where we are today. And it's very exciting because my larger vision is to build an organization and a place for girls who are yet unborn to be able to have a place in this construction industry.
That dovetails pretty nicely. And the next question I was going to ask you is what's next? Where are you headed? What mountains do you have left to climb?
Well, saying that I have a written plan for not just what will I do when I'm 92, but 102. But what I see, really, I'm very big on legacy. Our the office of your business and your life. And so I'm looking at building a legacy with the International Mastermind Association, a legacy with the National Association of Black Women in Construction, and all the businesses that I'm building. I have a cadre of individuals who are much younger, who we're training to be responsible in the leadership of these organizations. But I'm looking out at least 100 years from now. At least 100 years from now is where my vision is.
God, that is truly, truly amazing to me. Well, you started on that journey already for sure. You being inducted to the National Academy of Construction, and it's really a prestigious honor. But why don't you tell us what that recognition, that legacy kind of means to you?
Well, the National Academy of Construction, first of all, yes, it is all white, all male, with a smidgen of white women, just very, very small. And in order to be inducted in the academy, you must be invited. That's first of all. You cannot do them. Yes, you must be invited. And normally it's somewhere around 20, 30 years of experience you must have in the industry before you even get an invitation. And then you must qualify and be interviewed. And the process is a phenomenal process. But the individuals who are a part of it represent all of the presidents and owners of many of the major public and private sector companies in my industry. And I keep going to the word industry because oftentimes we don't talk about industry-focused interests. I keep saying that because if you don't focus on your industry, are you really known as a key person of influence in your business?
Absolutely. I got to tell you this. There's I could talk to you for hours, right? But leave us with some key points. What's some secret sauce that you would want at the end of this discussion, would want to leave with people to say, okay, these are my thoughts. You know, these are my bullet points. These are my silver bullets.
Well, I would first go back to the question you asked about the title of the book that I published this year. And individuals can go to my website at annmcneill.com and get a copy of the book. But you must have a dream to have a dream come true. What's going to pull you up every single day when you don't feel like it? You know, what's going to drive you to do that thing that you really don't, and make that phone call, take that trip, you know, see that client. And I do believe that it starts with a dream, a why, whatever you want to call it, but it's got to be a desire of some kind. And that's also the first principle in the book, Think and Grow Rich. I would say the second is I've created a framework that really focuses on any kind of business can use this framework to drill down into having a greater success. And it starts with just clearly mindset. And that's why I focus so much on the book, Think and Grow Rich, but not just that book, so many books.
So many books like it.
So many other books. I mean, I love to read by authors. Napoleon Hill is one, but there's so many others. The other,
and I'm running out of time, but I got to tell you, I'd love to be able to talk to you again. There's so many other things that we did not discuss that I really want to talk to you about, and let's schedule a time to do this again. I want to thank the audience for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and join us next week. We bring on more stories about Black excellence. Until then, keep building, and thank you very much for your time. I know how busy you are. Thanks for coming on the show. Love to be able to do this again with you, because there's so many things we did not scratch the surface. Continue to make a difference. Thanks again, Legacy Magazine, for making this important, and thanking our sponsors. I always say that if it is to be, it's up to me. And thanks again for seeing you. It's always great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Your organization's ability